What if the weight you carry isn't forged by the trials of existence, but by the silent chains of your own making? Each morning whispers a possibility, a quiet call to shed the burdens that bind us and step into a life unencumbered, rich with meaning and purpose. Welcome to Stoic Reflections, a sanctuary where the timeless wisdom of the ancients meets the art of living deliberately in the present. Here, we embark on a journey to unravel the subtle thieves of progress, excessive comfort, ceaseless complaints, rigid judgments, the illusion of control, and more. Through the lens of Stoic philosophy, we'll discover how letting go isn't a loss, but a liberation, a clearing of the soul's cluttered path to reveal clarity, resilience, and a deeper sense of self. This exploration isn't about grand upheavals or flawless execution, it's about the quiet, persistent power of daily choices. Imagine a life where fear no longer dictates your steps, where every action aligns with the values that stir your spirit. Drawing from Marcus Aurelius and the Stoic tradition, we'll dissect the habits that tether us to stagnation and craft a roadmap to rise above them, a path rooted in the love of wisdom that has illuminated humans striving for centuries. We invite you, dear traveler, to join us in this endeavor. Reflect with us in the comments, what will you release to make 2025 your year of transformation? Share your thoughts, propose topics for future explorations as we build this community together, united in the pursuit of growth and authenticity. Let us begin. Every year unfolds with a chorus of bold intentions. We fill our minds with dreams, vivid, audacious visions of change, and proclaim, this time it will be different. Yet, as the months drift by, life often settles back into its familiar grooves, as if nothing has shifted. Hope ignites, effort flares, and frustration follows, looping endlessly. It's an exhausting rhythm, akin to running on a treadmill, legs pumping, sweat beating, yet the scenery remains stubbornly unchanged. Why does this cycle persist? Perhaps the fault lies not in our failure to add more to our lives, more goals, more plans, more hustle, but in our reluctance to release what weighs us down. Picture a man traversing a dense forest, a heavy sack slung across his shoulders. He labors up a steep hill, his breath ragged, his steps faltering. Every few paces he pauses, sighing with weary resignation. The higher he climbs, the more the bag seems to swell, the incline growing ever more daunting, until at last he collapses, defeated, beneath its load. What he fails to see is that the sack brims with useless rocks, meaningless debris he gathered unconsciously along his path. Had he simply opened it, cast the stones aside, the ascent would have softened, the summit within reach. That man is every one of us. We bear the weight of habits, thoughts, and beliefs sold familiar, and often comforting, that drag us backward, making the journey harder than it needs to be. These burdens are not mere externalities, they are the quiet accretions of our own design. They feel safe, even necessary, yet they serve no purpose beyond holding us in place. Letting go is a daunting prospect. It feels like surrendering a piece of ourselves, a betrayal of the known. But in truth, it is the opposite, a reclamation, a freeing of the spirit that opens vistas for growth, for something truer and better to take root. Consider Sarah, a woman in her late 30s, bound to a job that offers stability but drains her soul. Each morning, she wakes to a dull ache, a heaviness that settles before her feet touch the floor. She dreams of launching her own business, a flicker of light in her grey routine, but the thought barely forms before a tide of doubt washes it away. One day, while idly scrolling through her social media feed, Sarah stumbles upon an article about a woman her age who abandoned a corporate cage to open a bakery. Starting with little more than grit and a vision, that woman now runs a thriving enterprise. A spark flares in Sarah's chest, hope, fragile but real. Yet swiftly the familiar chorus of fears drowns it. What if I fail? What will people think? I'm not ready. Her mind races, a whirlwind of negativity, until she sets her phone aside, defeated. She vows to reconsider tomorrow. But tomorrow dawns, and nothing shifts. Months bleed into years, and Sarah remains moored to the same shore, yearning for a horizon she dares not pursue, too afraid to let go of the anchors she knows. Sarah's tale echoes in us all. We cradle aspirations yet falter at their edge, clinging to patterns that promise security but deliver only stasis. It's akin to standing at the brink of a pool, the water gleaming with promise, yet the chill of the plunge keeps us rooted on dry land. The first step is always the hardest, fraught with uncertainty, trembling with risk, but it is also the most liberating. What if Sarah had dared a single, small stride forward? A weekend spent researching entrepreneurship, a modest sum tucked away each month toward her dream. Such acts might have rewritten her story. She didn't falter because she lacked ability, she faltered because she couldn't release the fears and habits that pinned her in place. Letting go isn't about abandoning ambition, it's about shedding the superfluous, the outdated, the obstructive, to make room for what will propel us onward. We squander vast reserves of energy on things that had no value, complaints that echo hollow lie, judgments that narrow our sight, fears that paralyze, procrastination that delays. Picture that energy redirected toward crafting the lives we envision, deepening our bonds, or simply savoring existence more fully. When we let go, we forge freedom, not a chaotic and bound state, but a deliberate unshackling that allows us to step beyond the confines of our self-imposed limits and into a life suffused with clarity and purpose. Change isn't arduous because it's intricate, it's arduous because it's uncomfortable. Our minds, like wary sentinels, cling to the familiar, even when it wounds us. Relationships turned toxic yet endured for fear of solitude. Jobs that stifle yet are retained to dodge the uncertainty of new beginnings. The Stoics understood this human frailty and offered a remedy. True freedom emerges not from bending the world to our will, but from mastering ourselves, our fears, our desires, our impulses. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, penned a piercing truth: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The chasm between the life we inhabit and the one we long for is bridged only by our willingness to release what holds us back. Letting go is not a one-time triumph, but a daily practice, a series of choices made in fleeting moments. When Sarah scrolled past that article, letting fear steer her hand, she chose inertia over possibility. Yet each sunrise offers a new chance to choose otherwise. Had she acted even in the smallest way, her trajectory might have bent toward light. A single evening spent learning, a refusal to indulge doubt, could have set her on a path to passion and fulfillment. The beauty of this truth is its universality. It is never too late to rewrite your narrative, no matter how long you've borne the weight. So, pause now. What's in your sack? What do you carry that serves no purpose? Perhaps it's the habit of self-doubt, rising like a shadow with every opportunity. Maybe it's the comfort of grumbling about life's injustices rather than acting to amend them. Or perchance it's perfectionism, the belief that if a thing cannot be done flawlessly, it's not worth doing at all. You need not drag these into the future. Take a deep breath here, now, and name one burden to release today. It needn't be grand. It might be as simple as silencing a negative thought, declining a task that saps your spirit, or stepping away from a conversation that fuels despair. In that moment of release, you carve out space, empty, yes, but brimming with potential. In that space, something new can take root, a seed of courage, a whisper of joy, a fragment of the life you've always meant to live. Letting go is a skill, honed through practice and patience. With each small act, you grow lighter, stronger, more alive. Growth, in the Stoic sense, isn't tethered to perfection, it thrives in progress. It's about arriving each day, choosing intention over apathy, even when the path rough. The climb may loom steep, its peaks shrouded in mist, but every step forward eases the load, drawing you closer to the existence you deserve. Begin today, refuse to settle. Comfort, that seductive bomb, feels good in its fleeting embrace, but have you reckoned its cost? Opportunities slip through our fingers when we shrink from discomfort's edge. Progress doesn't arrive swathed in soft familiarity, it's forged in the crucible of resistance, in the moments we push beyond the soothing murmur of safety. That murmur, reasonable, gentle, coaxes us to linger where it's warm, to shun risk and effort. Stay here, it whispers, where failure can't touch you, where the known cradles you. It sounds like a friend, but it is the quiet adversary of growth. Excessive comfort isn't a mere pause, it's a slow descent, a choice to contract rather than expand. It's lingering in a job that dims your light because the leap to something new feels perilous. It's avoiding the hard conversations because confronting truth stings, opting instead for the muted ache of avoidance. Each time we choose ease over effort, we barter short-term solace for long-term regret. Discomfort, though, is the herald of growth. Think of your muscles under strain, not buckling, but building, stretching towards strength. So it is with the mind and spirit, stepping beyond the familiar stretches our resilience, our confidence, our capacity. Growth isn't a straight line, nor a blaring fanfare, it's a quiet unfolding, often in shadowed corners of the unknown. Fear of failure binds us to comfort's arms. Failure feels like a verdict on our worth, a public unmasking. Yet the Stoics reframed it: failure is feedback, a signpost, not a scaffold. Each misstep carries a lesson, each lesson edges us toward mastery. Discomfort's pang is fleeting, the wisdom it imparts endures. Reframe challenges as openings, each difficulty faced hones your edge, fortifies your core. Begin with small dares, voice a thought in a meeting, pick up a new skill. These victories, modest though they seem, gather momentum, turning the once impossible into second nature. Uncertainty, too, is a forge of growth. Clinging to control locks us in the predictable, but the unknown unveils strengths we didn't suspect: adaptability, ingenuity, tenacity. These are the sinews of success, unreachable within comfort's cocoon. Discomfort also kindles creativity. A mind too at ease grows sluggish, satisfied with enough. Challenges demand new sight, fresh paths, novel answers. The greatest leaps in art, thought, invention often sprang from strain, not serenity. Physical discomfort, too, tempers the spirit. Athletes press their limits. Hikers ascend despite fatigue, not merely for flesh, but for fortitude. Proving you can endure crafts an unshakable belief in your mettle. Self-awareness severs comfort's ties. Where have you settled? What dreams languish, deferred by risk's shadow? Awareness sparks choice, opt for the unfamiliar, seek companions who dare greatly. A potent wife, family, legacy, passion anchors you when comfort beckons. Marcus Aurelius urged us to live each day as if it were our last. Comfort fritters time, discomfort seizes it. Gratitude recasts trials as gifts, shifting gaze from hardship to possibility. Growth craves patience, small strides, not bounds. Celebrate progress, not perfection. These moments of risk, resolve define you, weaving a legacy beyond ease's reach. Confidence blossoms in discomfort's wake, proof you can weather life's tempests. The ascent is rugged, but the vista, purpose, passion, possibility repays every effort. Release comfort's grip, step into growth's embrace. Yet another shadow creeps: complaints. They seem harmless, a quick exhale, a shared grievance, but they ensnare us in negativity's web. Complaints sap focus, drain creativity, leaving us mired in the very quagmires we lament. Breaking free isn't mere cheer, it's reclaiming your helm. Complaining's allure lies in its ease, no effort, no accountability. Yet each murmur reinforces futility, rewiring the mind to scan for flaws. It shapes our world, veiling opportunities within challenges. Why do we complain? To dodge duty, pointing fingers at fate or folk. or to garner sympathy, a brief salve that heals nothing. Awareness starts the shift. Track your gripes work, weather woes. Where does your vigor leak? Reframe traffic jams. Learn muse, don't fume. This isn't blindness to flaws, but empowerment steering energy where it thrives. Gratitude battles complaints, name one daily grace. Over time, light prevails. Face discomfort, don't flee it. What's irritation signaling? Action, not words, responds. Seek solvers, not whiners, their spark lifts you. Pause before venting, see cancers instead. Untracked morphs to how can I grow? Complaints hint at deeper disquiet. Mindfulness anchors you in now, curbing the churn. Set bounds, skip gloom's din, guide talks upward. Accountability claims your part, no blame, just might. Cheer each triumph over complaint, a nod to progress, not despair. Bonds brighten, aims clarify, as gloom recedes. Life's debrief for whining sees each breath for purpose. Beyond complaints looms judgment, a lens warping all we see. It shrinks life, stiff and small, letting go frees mind and heart, unveiling truth. Judgment aids understanding but often runs rogue, labeling, presuming, stressing. Rude, weak hasty calls blind us to depth. Curiosity, not censure, widens sight. Why the edge? What's beneath? Judging mirrors inner fears, arrogance in others echoes our unease. Seeing this softens us. Self-judgment wounds deepest, a spiral of shame. Compassion mends view yourself as growing, not flawed. Facts over tales, no reply, isn't they scorn me. Challenge old yarns, success isn't one shape. Pause ere judging, breathe, ask, is this true, useful? Flexibility marks wisdom, hold views lightly, adapt. Judgment tires, its release fuels creation. Triadasons labels just watch. Ties deepen, folk shine as they are, not as we cast them. Humility reigns, we don't grasp all. Peace ensues, life flows as it is, not as it should. This clarity births action, not reaction, growth, silent craft. The illusion of knowing all stalls growth, a false bastion of surety. Humility cracks it, arcane is a moat in the vast. Curiosity over pride asks what more, listening, owning error, seeking unlike voices, these stretch us. Reality roots us, past feats don't assure all. Epictetus warned, what we think we know bars learning. Read wide, seek guides, reflect, lifelong learning humbles and lifts. The unknown isn't foe but friend, embrace it, grow. Control's siren call safety, order binds tighter still. Life defies grasp, clinging breeds angst. Self-mastery, not mastery of all, frees us. Impulses scrolling, indulgence chain us subtly. Note them pause. Addictions mask pain, face it, heal it. Discipline aligns acts with aims, small bounds building freedom. Surrender accepts what's beyond us, easing strain. Mindfulness observes, not rules, thoughts. Gratitude sees plenty, not lack. Forgiveness cuts past scords peace, not pardon. Uncertainty excites, trust yourself to meet it. Mediocrity murmurs enough, robbing excellence. Effort, not talent, crafts greatness daily, steady. Failure teaches, comparison fades, grow past yesterday. Discipline holds firm, care in small things ripples wide. Seek fire, progress, not perfection, shines. Excellence is self-love, a life worth striving for. Imagination, wild and vast, can cage or free. Fear spins doom, reframe it, what if I saw? Visualize triumph, not ruin, gratitude and place park joy. Action breaks fear's grip, mindfulness tames the swirl. Failure's a step, not a stop, create, don't curse. Emotional baggage, regrets, grudges anchors us. Reframe regret as lessons, resentment as release. Feel, don't bury, compassion softens scars. Mindfulness pulls us present, gratitude lifts pain's veil. Boundaries guard peace, let go, rise. Relationships shape us. Choose wisely. Seek growth, not drag. Energy flows upward. Reciprocity binds. Truth. Eyes reassess, refine. Intention builds a circle of strength. No drift, just purpose. Discipline turns dreams to deeds. Daily, small, sure. Clarity guides. Awareness tunes. Efforts no burden. Self-respect fuels it. Consistency compounds. Flexible, mindful, patient. Rest renews. Discipline's a dance, not a grind. Procrastination stalls fear. Perfection, A's fuel it. Act now. Small steps, clear plans. Environment aids. Rewards cheer. Clarity cuts doubt. Self-kindness lifts guilt. Momentum grows. Act, learn, win. Perfection paralyzes. Progress frees. Failure's feedback. Start messy, move. Good enough beats endless weeks. Gratitude sees gains. Vulnerability dares. Play trumps polish. Excellence is effort, not flawlessness. Intention turns moments to meaning. Values lead. Influence nides. Noise falls away. Simplicity clears clutter. Gratitude lifts. Challenges hone. Relationships bloom. Own your path. Flex, grow, celebrate. Silence, a stoic gem, holds power. Pause thwarts rashness. Observe, don't leap. Boundaries bloom in quiet. No fuel for strife. Wisdom waits and cools. Silence gifts space. Humility shines. Reflection deepens. Credibility grows. Inspiration whispers. Gratitude hums. Dignity stands firm. Silence speaks. Adversaries loom. Master your calm. Understand, don't curse. Virtue shields. Focus inward. Patience wins. Boundaries bar. Adversity turns teacher. Forgive, don't fester. Reason rules. Need quiet. Gratitude softens. Detach. Peace endures. Disrespect stings. Detach, don't bite. Calm disarms. Boundaries teach. Silence starves it. Empathy shifts. Lead true. Assert, don't snap. Values within. Control your sphere. Walk if need be. Rise above. Mornings set the soul. Gratitude wakes. Reflect, align. Mindfulness and steadies. Move, right. Tech waits. Visualize. Calm. Kindness ripples. Meditate, prioritize. Challenges brace. Learn, grow. Stoic dawn shines. Transformations now controls yours. Impermanence frees. Nature flows. Reason reigns. Discomfort molds. Gratitude fills. Death sharpens. Forgive, humble. Detach, reflect. Purpose binds. Act, rise. Comfort's embrace is a subtle snare, lulling us into a false sense of peace while sapping our potential. It's the familiar chair we sink into, the routine we repeat without question, the excuses we lean on when the call to act grows loud. But comfort, for all its warmth, is a thief of time and possibility. It whispers assurances of safety while chaining us to the ordinary, keeping us from the extraordinary just beyond its veil. To let it go is to embrace the raw, unfiltered pulse of life, the discomfort that signals growth, the uncertainty that breeds strength. Consider the weight of habit, those small, repeated choices that calcify into a life we didn't intend. Comfort keeps us tethered to them, afraid to disrupt the rhythm we know. Yet disruption is the crucible of change. When we cling to ease, we forfeit the chance to stretch, to test our limits, to discover what lies beyond the horizon of the known. The Stoics saw this clearly. Life's richness isn't found in stagnation, but in the willingness to step into the fray, to meet resistance with resolve. Each moment we choose effort over ease, we chip away at comfort's hold, forging a path to a fuller self. Complaints, too, weave a web around us, one of our own spinning. They start as fleeting vents, a release of pressure, but soon they harden into a lens through which we see the world. Every grumbled word reinforces a narrative of victimhood, a belief that life conspires against us. Yet this lens is a distortion, blinding us to the agency we hold. To cease complaining isn't to ignore life's flaws, it's to reclaim the power to shape them. It's a shift from passivity to purpose, from dwelling on what's wrong to seeking what's possible. The Stoics prized this shift. Marcus Aurelius urged us to focus on what we can control, letting the rest fall away like chaff in the wind. Judgment follows, a quiet tyrant of the mind. It's the snap verdict we pass on others, on ourselves, on the unfolding of events, a habit so ingrained it feels like truth. But judgment narrows our world, boxing it into rigid categories of right and wrong, good and bad. It steals our curiosity, our openness, our capacity to see beyond the surface. To release it is to step into a broader, more generous existence, one where understanding trumps condemnation, where the grey of life's complexity is embraced rather than forced into black and white clarity. This is the Stoic way: to observe, to question, to let go of the need to label. Control, that elusive prize, promises mastery over chaos. We chase it in our plans, our relationships, our very thoughts, believing it will shield us from life's unpredictability. Yet the tighter we grip, the more we lose peace, flexibility, joy. The Stoics taught that true mastery lies not in bending the world, but in bending ourselves, our reactions, our choices, our focus. Letting go of control isn't surrender, it's surrender's opposite, an act of trust in our resilience, a recognition that we can thrive amid the flux. It's freedom born of discipline, a paradox at the heart of Stoic wisdom. Mediocrity lurks as comfort skin, a subtle settling for less than we're capable of. It's the good enough we whisper to ourselves, the half-effort we excuse. But mediocrity is a betrayal of our potential, our dreams, our very being. Excellence, its antidote, isn't perfection, it's persistence, the daily choice to give more than we take. The Stoics saw excellence as a virtue, a reflection of our duty to live fully. To pursue it is to honor ourselves, to build a life that echoes beyond the moment. Imagination, that boundless gift, can turn against us when steeped in fear. It conjures failures untested, obstacles unscaled, trapping us in a prison of our own design. Yet harnessed with intent, it becomes a wings, a vision of what could be, a spur to action. The Stoics valued reason over runaway fancy, but they knew the mind's power to shape reality. To direct it toward possibility is to transform doubt into drive, hesitation into hope. Emotional baggage, those lingering regrets, those festering grudges, anchors us to a past we cannot change. It's a weight we carry willingly, mistaking it for protection. But letting go is no erasure, it's a release, a refusal to let yesterday dictate tomorrow. The Stoics urged forgiveness not for others' sake, but for our own, to free the soul from chains forged in anger or shame. This act of grace is strength, a step toward a lighter, clearer life. Relationships, too, can bind or buoy us. The company we keep shapes our spirit. Choose poorly, and we drift; choose well, and we soar. The Stoics prized virtue in companionship, seeking those who challenge and uplift. To curate our circle with intention is to craft an environment where growth thrives, where energy flows toward purpose rather than dissipation. Discipline, the quiet engine of progress, turns intent into reality. It's the daily commitment to show up, to refine small steps that compound into vast strides. The Stoics saw it as self-mastery as bedrock, a practice of honoring our word to ourselves. Without it, dreams remain ether; with it, they take form, solid and sure. Procrastination, the thief of time, stalls us with whispers of later. Its fear cloaked as patience, perfectionism masked as prudence. Yet every delay is a chance lost to learn, to grow, to become. The Stoics scorn such deferral, urging action in the now. To break its grip is to seize the day, to claim the life we're meant for. Perfectionism, too, paralyzes, a relentless demand for flawlessness that stalls us at the starting line. It's the enemy of progress, chaining us to an ideal no mortal can grasp. The Stoics sought excellence, not perfection; effort over outcome, growth over stasis. Letting go of this illusion frees us to move, to err, to evolve. Intention, the soul's compass, aligns our days with our deepest truths. It's the mindful choice to live not by default, but by design, to sift the essential from the trivial. The Stoics live this daily, asking, does this serve my purpose? To embrace it is to weave a life of meaning from the fabric of the mundane. Silence, a Stoic virtue, wields quiet power. It's the pause that thwarts rashness, the stillness that fosters clarity. In a world of noise, it's a shield and a sanctuary, a choice to listen, to reflect, to preserve our peace. Marcus Aurelius prized it as strength's truest form. Adversaries test us, but the Stoics met them not with fury, but with wisdom. Mastery of self, not others, disarms opposition. Patience, virtue, reason prevailing where force falters. To rise above is to render their noise irrelevant, a victory won within. Disrespect challenges our poise, yet the Stoic response is calm, not combat. Detachment, boundaries, silence, tools to uphold dignity without descending to rancor. It's a mirror of our worth, a refusal to let others' shadows dim our light. Mornings in Stoic hands become sacred, a grounding in gratitude, reflection, movement. They set the day's tone, a ritual of alignment that steadies us for what's ahead. To begin with purpose is to carry that purpose through, unshaken. Transformation, the Stoic's gift, lies in these acts: control owned, impermanence embraced, reason exalted. It's discomfort as teacher, gratitude as anchor, purpose as guide. It's not a distant shore, but a choice made now, a life reshaped by wisdom's steady hand. As 2025 unfurls before us, the Stoic path offers not just release, but renewal, a shedding of old weights to gain clarity, resilience, and purpose. Each habit left behind, comfort, complaints, control, clears a space for growth, aligning us with our highest callings. This journey begins not tomorrow, but today, in the quiet resolve to act. Share in the comments, which habit will you release? What first step will you take to craft your finest year yet? Let's kindle a conversation, lifting each other toward mastery. Subscribe to Stoic Reflections and join our growing tribe as we delve deeper into Stoic philosophy and life's practical wisdom. Next, hear from Ethan and Charlotte, whose reflections on this transformative ascent will follow. Stay tuned for their voices. Together, let's make 25 a testament to meaning and growth. The path rises. Step forward now.
All right, let's dive in. Today, we're taking a deep dive into Stoic transformation, letting go to rise in 2025.
Interesting title.
Yeah, it's this online article that uses Stoic philosophy to kind of frame how to, improve your life for the new year.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So are we talking like ancient wisdom for modern problems?
Exactly. It's like we're having a relaxed chat, out this article and pulling out the best parts, just for our listeners.
Sounds good to me.
So Stoicism, I feel like a lot of people think it's about just enduring hardship.
Yeah, like gritting your teeth and bearing it.
But this article frames it in a totally different way. It's more about using those Stoic principles to become more resilient and make, smarter choices in our everyday lives.
I like that. Practical Stoicism.
Yeah. And the article starts with this really vivid analogy. Imagine a guy, right? He's hiking through a forest, but he's carrying this giant sack of rocks.
Oh, I can picture it. Every step must be a struggle.
Exactly. And that's the point. It's a metaphor for all the baggage we carry around. Bad habits, limiting beliefs, maybe even relationships that aren't good for us.
All those things that weigh us down and make life harder.
Right. And the article really emphasizes how much of that burden is self-imposed. It's not just external stuff, it's the things we choose to hold on to.
Like that hiker could just dump those rocks, but for some reason he doesn't.
Exactly. So what are your rocks? Think about it. What are you carrying that's making your journey harder than it needs to be?
It's a good question to ask ourselves.
Now, the article introduces this character, Sarah. She's stuck in this job she hates, but she has this dream of opening a bakery.
Oh, I know a few Sarahs.
Right. So she sees someone else actually do it, open a bakery, and she's inspired for a second, but then all her fears and doubts come rushing in. What if I fail? What will people think?
Classic self-sabotage.
Totally. But haven't we all been there? Like that fear of the unknown, of judgment or failure, it can be paralyzing.
Even when, deep down, we know we want something different.
And this is where the article throws in this kind of curveball. Comfort can actually be the enemy of growth.
Interesting. How so?
Well, it uses this analogy of a plant that's always sheltered from the wind. It might seem protected, but its roots never get strong enough to handle a real storm.
Oh, I see. So we need a little wind, a little challenge to really grow strong.
Exactly. It's those uncomfortable moments that force us to adapt and get stronger.
So, in a way, we need to lean into discomfort.
Exactly. Like, where are we getting too comfortable in our own lives? What are we missing out on because we're playing it safe?
Yeah, something to think about.
This article goes on to lay out some really practical ways to break free from those limitations using those Stoic techniques.
I'm all ears. What kind of techniques?
Like reframing challenges, letting go of complaints, taming our judgments, embracing uncertainty, even cultivating discipline.
Sounds like a pretty solid toolkit.
It is. And what's cool is that the article emphasizes small, consistent actions rather than some huge overnight transformation.
Makes sense. Small steps, big changes.
Right. It's about making those daily choices to shed the burdens and build a life that, actually reflects what we want.
So where do we even start with all this?
Well, the first step, according to the article, is to identify those rocks we're carrying. What habits, thoughts, beliefs are making things harder than they need to be.
It's about getting real with ourselves, huh?
Yeah. And once we've done that, then it's about taking that first step toward letting go.
So let's unpack some of these Stoic practices. Like, what does it mean to reframe challenges?
Well, it's about shifting our perspective. Instead of seeing obstacles as setbacks, we try to see them as opportunities to learn and grow.
So instead of why me, it's what can I learn from this?
Exactly. It's a total mindset shift.
I like that. Turn those obstacles into stepping stones.
Right. And then you know how much complaining can just drain our energy?
Oh, yeah, it's a total energy vampire.
The article is all about shifting our focus away from complaining and towards solutions.
So instead of dwelling on what's wrong, we focus on what we can actually do about it.
Exactly. Are your complaints helping you move forward or just keeping you stuck?
It's a good question to ask ourselves when we find ourselves slipping into that negative spiral.
Totally. And then there's the whole judging thing.
Oh, yeah, we all do it. It's human nature, right?
But the article is about, how can we practice more understanding and less labeling?
Less quick to judge, more open to understanding.
Yeah, instead of slapping labels on everything good, bad, right, wrong.
Which can really limit our perspective.
Totally. What if we paused and got curious instead? Tried to see things from other people's point of view, even when we don't agree with them.
It's about recognizing that everyone's on their own journey.
Exactly. And then there's this thing about control. The Stoics were all about accepting that so much of life is just beyond our control.
Yeah, that trying to control everything just leads to stress and anxiety.
Right. And sometimes that need for control makes us cling to certainty. We want to know what's going to happen. But the reality is life is unpredictable.
But that unpredictability can actually be kind of exciting, right? It opens up possibilities.
It does. It's like embracing the adventure.
So what's the Stoic approach to all this?
It's about focusing on what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and reactions, and becoming more comfortable with not knowing everything.
That's a powerful shift in perspective.
It is. So as you've been listening, which of these Stoic practices is really grabbing your attention? What's one little thing you could try today to put it into action?
Lots to think about. It's interesting how these ancient ideas can still be so relevant to our lives today.
So it's funny, right? We all want comfort, but then this article is hey, comfort might actually be holding you back.
It's a bit of a paradox, isn't it?
Yeah. We need a little bit of discomfort to actually grow.
It's like that plant analogy again.
Yeah.
Too much shelter and the roots don't grow deep enough.
Exactly. So where are we getting too comfortable in our own lives? What are we missing out on because we're playing it safe?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? What dream are we putting off because it feels too risky?
Right. And then there's the whole complaining thing. I feel like we can all get sucked into that trap.
Oh, yeah. It's so easy to fall into that negativity spiral. But does complaining ever really solve anything?
Not really. It just drains our energy and keeps us stuck.
The Stoics were all about focusing on what we can control, not what we can't.
Right. So instead of complaining about traffic, maybe we use that time to listen to a podcast or learn a new language.
Exactly. Or if a work project is frustrating, maybe we brainstorm solutions or even start looking for a new job.
It's about taking that energy and channeling it into something productive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, what else does the article talk about?
Judgment. It dives into how our judgments can really cloud our understanding.
Oh yeah, we're so quick to judge. It's like an automatic response.
But the article is like, what if we replace judgment with curiosity?
That's a powerful shift. Instead of labeling everything as good or bad, right or wrong, we try to understand.
Yeah. Like, instead of assuming we know the whole story, what if we ask questions? Tried to see things from the other person's point of view.
It's about recognizing that there's always more to this story than we see on the surface.
And then there's that whole thing about control. Like, the Stoics were big on accepting that much of life is simply outside our control.
Trying to control everything is a recipe for frustration, that's for sure.
And it can make us cling to certainty, even when it's holding us back.
Because certainty is often an illusion. Life is unpredictable.
It is. But the Stoics saw that unpredictability as a source of opportunity.
Like if we're too afraid to step outside our comfort zones, we might miss out on some amazing experiences.
Exactly. The article even talks about this concept of mediocrity, which it describes as settling for less than we're capable of.
That good enough feeling that can keep us from really going for it.
Right. And it connects mediocrity to a lack of self-respect. Like, if we settle, we're saying we're not worth the effort of trying for something better.
That's a powerful way to think about it.
It is. So cultivating a mindset of excellence is about recognizing our own worth and striving to live a life that reflects that.
And it's not about perfection, it's about continuous improvement.
Exactly. It's about the journey, not about reaching some impossible ideal.
Makes sense. What else does the article touch on?
Imagination. It talks about how imagination can be both a source of inspiration and a trap.
That's interesting. How so?
Well, it's like our imaginations can help us visualize our dreams, right?
Yeah.
But they can also hold us back with fears and doubts.
So it's about learning to use our imaginations constructively.
Exactly. To focus on what we want to create, not what we're afraid of.
I like that. It's about using our imaginations to empower us, not limit us.
Okay, now for a bit of a heavier topic. Emotional baggage. All those past regrets, grudges, resentments, they can really weigh us down.
This is where forgiveness comes in, right?
Yeah. And the Stoic idea of forgiveness isn't about condoning someone else's actions. It's about freeing ourselves from those negative emotions.
Because holding on to anger and resentment only hurts us in the long run.
Exactly. Forgiveness is about letting go of that pain and choosing to move forward.
Makes sense. What else does the article cover?
Relationships. It talks about the importance of surrounding ourselves with healthy relationships.
That's huge. The people we spend time with have a massive impact on our lives.
Totally. So it's not just about letting go of negative influences, but also about actively seeking out positive ones.
Like finding people who inspire us, support us, challenge us to grow.
Exactly, because we deserve to be surrounded by people who lift us up. Speaking of lifting us up, the article talks about discipline as the bridge between good intentions and actually taking action.
Discipline. The key to making those good intentions a reality.
Right. And the article frames discipline as creating structure and routines that support us in reaching our goals.
It's not about being rigid or punishing ourselves. It's about setting ourselves up for success.
Exactly. And you know what always gets in the way of success? Procrastination.
Oh, yeah. We all struggle with that from time to time.
But the article has some good tips for tackling procrastination, like breaking down big tasks into smaller steps.
That's a classic strategy, but it really works. A big project can feel overwhelming, but smaller chunks feel much more manageable.
Right. And the article also talks about setting deadlines, creating a supportive environment, even rewarding ourselves for progress.
It's about making it easier for ourselves to stay on track.
Okay, now for another tricky one. Perfectionism. The article calls it a sneaky form of self-sabotage.
Oh yeah, perfectionism can be paralyzing.
It's like that voice in our heads that's like, it's not good enough yet, or what if I mess up, and then we end up doing nothing at all?
Because we're so afraid of making a mistake.
Right. But the Stoics were all about embracing imperfection.
They saw mistakes as part of the learning process.
Exactly. So it's about shifting our focus from being perfect to being present and engaged, even if it's messy sometimes.
That's a good reminder. It's about progress, not perfection.
So what else does the article talk about? Oh, intention. Setting intentions.
That's a powerful practice. It's about consciously choosing how we want to live our lives.
Instead of just reacting to whatever comes our way.
The article suggests taking some time each day to reflect on our intentions. Like, what do I want to create today?
That's a great question to ask ourselves. And you know what else the article talks about? Silence.
Silence in this noisy world.
I know, right? But it's about creating space for reflection, for listening to our inner wisdom.
It's about finding that stillness amidst the chaos.
Exactly. So the article encourages us to carve out some time for silence each day, whether it's through meditation, spending time in nature, or just disconnecting from all the screens for a few minutes.
That's a good reminder. We all need a little more silence in our lives.
Okay, now for a slightly tougher topic: how to deal with adversaries. Those people or situations that really challenge us.
The Stoics believed that adversaries are inevitable. They're just part of life.
But we can choose how we respond to them.
Right. Instead of reacting with anger or frustration, we can try to respond with calmness and reason.
Because our own inner peace is more important than winning every argument.
Exactly. And what about when we're dealing with disrespect? That can be really tough to handle.
It can. But the Stoic approach is to detach from the need to be right or to prove ourselves to others.
It's about setting boundaries and walking away from situations that are toxic.
Exactly. We don't have to engage in every battle.
Sometimes the most powerful response is simply to walk away.
All right, here's something I love. Morning routines. The article has some great tips for creating a morning routine that sets us up for a productive and fulfilling day.
The Stoics were big believers in starting the day with intention.
So what do they suggest?
Gratitude, reflection, and some form of movement. It's also about prioritizing our most important tasks for the day and minimizing distractions.
Especially those digital distractions.
Right. It's about nourishing our mind, body, and spirit before we dive into the demands of the day.
Okay, last but not least, the article wraps up with this powerful message about transformation.
Transformation is a journey, not a destination. It's about continuous growth.
And it all comes down to those daily choices we make
Yeah.
to let go of what's holding us back and embrace those uncomfortable moments that help us grow.
It's about cultivating the inner strength to live a more meaningful life.
Exactly. And it's a journey we can all take, one step at a time.
Wow, so this article really makes you think, it takes those ancient Stoic ideas and shows how we can actually, use them in our modern lives.
It's not just philosophy, right? It's about taking action.
Exactly. So after this deep dive, what really stood out to you? What was the biggest takeaway? For me, it's that emphasis on personal agency. The Stoics believed we have a choice in how we respond to things. We can't always control what happens, but we can control our thoughts and reactions.
It's about taking ownership, right? Not being a victim of our circumstances.
Right. No matter what challenges we face, we have the power to choose how we respond.
That's pretty powerful. So for our listeners who are, feeling inspired and want to start their own Stoic transformation, what advice would you give them? Where do they start?
Well, I'd say don't try to do everything at once. Start small. Pick one thing from the article that really resonated with you and focus on that.
Maybe start a gratitude journal or, try to reframe a challenging situation.
Exactly. Just focus on one small step. Consistency is key.
It's those small steps that add up to big changes over time.
And be patient with yourself. It's a journey, not a race.
Totally. Oh, and before we forget, next time we'll be hearing from Ethan and Charlotte, who are going to share their own experiences with, applying these Stoic principles in their lives.
I'm really looking forward to hearing their perspectives. It's always so interesting to see how, different people interpret and apply these ideas.
So until next time, everyone, keep exploring these ideas, keep growing, and, keep letting go of those things that aren't serving you. And remember, like the article says, the path rises step forward now.